Shalom, Kol Halal, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Kaha Kwadash. Double honors into the elders, double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen that look like those heathen, the Israelite foreigners, and to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And I want to open with Deuteronomy 33 and 29. And it reads, Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency. And thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. Speaking the truth is treading upon Esau, Edom's high places, because every high place that he has is built upon lies. You know, the Edomite, the so-called white man, his entire existence and his entire kingdom is built upon racial lies. It's funny, I was watching a live show of the Florida Marquis this morning, and I'm going to jump right into this fraud with medicine, all right, which we've been warning and telling you about. But in his live show, he happened to throw on Jake, you know, who's married to an Edomite woman who had biracial children. This goes to show you that this man, that guy, because I may do a response to that, because his monitor, removed my comment from the comment board. But this so-called black guy, this Kunalite, said, well, if my children were at school, on Black History Month, if I knew that they were going to teach this stuff, I would remove them from school. Because what I'm supposed to do, tell my children that their mom is their oppressor. And look, and this whole critical race theory junk is all a distraction from the truth. We're not, because what I said in my comment was that critical race historical facts have nothing to do with critical race theory. Once again, theory and hypotheses, that's not real. Facts is. Critical race historical facts have absolutely nothing to do with critical race theory. All right? Because the many inventions and things that the so-called black people have attributed to America that made life easier for all Americans and got no credit for it, all right? That's not theory, that's history. The fact that you label them black, all right, and the oppression that and the denigration that comes with that name, the fact that you separated them from the natives as if they were different people, everything about it. And these, like I said, everything about this man is a lie. So without any further ado, I'm going to play about 6 minutes of this video. And then every now and then I'm going to jump in and make a point and bring out a scripture. All right. So here we go. Jimmy Dore and his crew.
So here's another study I wanted to run past you. Gross misconduct, the nail in the coffin for antidepressants. This is written by Dr. Joseph Mercola, who I've had on the show.
Now, even though they provided proof, it won't stop Esau Edom. I provided proof in many of things, and they just ignore evidence and facts, kind of like the Florida Marquis did when I made that statement. All right? They didn't want to deal with the facts of what they've done. These people, including Jimmy Dore. There's another video I might do a response on to them. All right? But they don't want to deal with truth.
As reported in the 2023 system, first of all, just so we found out, by the way, I have a feeling this isn't going to be the nail in the coffin for antidepressants.
It won't.
I have a feeling they're going to somehow get around this.
They're going to get around it, and they're still going to sell it and make a shitload of money, destroying people, making people sick, and causing people to actually expire, be unalived. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Remember this, as reported in 2023, they did a systemic umbrella review of the evidence for the serotonin theory of depression. And this is what the conclusion was. The main areas of serotonin research provide no consistent evidence of there being an association between serotonin and depression, and no support for the hypothesis that depression is caused by lowered serotonin activity or concentration. So the whole base.
Wow. This is Job 15 and 35. And it reads, they conceive mischief and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepareth deceit, because it's all about the bottom line. It's all about the dollar. So it's been plenty of times throughout American history where rich oligarchs have been able to take control over certain entities, whether it be medical, health, food, things like that, and make changes and hide information, and when things go wrong, pay off and cover it up with media, and that whole sort of these sort of things has happened. If you talk about them, you could get cancel culture on you. All right, you can definitely get cancel culture.
For serotonin uptake inhibitors, which is what Zoloft is and Prozac, they completely got taken up by the knees, but they're still prescribing the hell out of them.
It does affect the urge to gamble, and also one guy won a lawsuit because he became gay, and that held up in court.
So hold on. Let's pause that. This guy just told you that this guy took some medications, and he sued because clearly, I guess he didn't want to be gay, but now he's saying he became gay as a result of it. What kind of medicine is that, man? And which I can believe, because I know that they do have different drugs and things that they use which change the sexes of certain frogs and the sexual behavior of certain animals. All right. This is Psalms 10 and 7. And it reads, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit, and fraud under his tongue is mischief and vanity. All right. And they love to use all these scientific words and these big old words to make them sound like they're just so intelligent, and they're on a higher level of intelligence and understanding. And it's all just lies, man. Layman terms, they're a bunch of effing liars, man. Simple as that. And their math does not add up. And when they math don't add up, what they do, they just throw a bunch of money at it to make it go away. Play calm, delightful elevator music as they're telling you about all the side effects that could unalive you. All right.
But they do make you more likely to still wear a mask in public, so that's good, right? Anyway, so here I want to tell you about this: the sequence treatment alternatives to relieve depression studies published in 2006 was the largest and longest running antidepressant effectiveness trial ever conducted. And importantly, it used real world patients. So the authors claimed an overall cumulative remission rate of 67%. This study has since been used to prop up the idea that antidepressants work in the real world. However, the widely made claim that antidepressants work for nearly 7 in 10 patients in real-world clinical settings is based on a scientific misconduct and fraud.
Wow. You see what I mean? This is Psalms 7 and 14. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and he hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. These people going to court, and it should be the nail in the coffin of what they're moving and selling, but they're not going to do it because these people make so much money hand over fist. They'll pay out millions in lawsuits, but they turn around and they make billions in profit. So paying off millions in lawsuits is nothing to them. They'll rather take the fine than rather do what's right to make people healthy, or to remove the pollutions or the pollutants is actually harming and killing people. They just rather pay the fine. And you have a government which allow them to do so. right? Says his mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. So it's all gonna come back on him, man. They got a lot to pay for. All right. And a lot of these medicines did come back on them and destroyed them. Look what happened with the opioids. The opioids took out what was it, 20 something million young Edomites from like the early 2000s all the way up to about 2020 or something like that. It's about 20 years. And I think if I'm not mistaken, if I can remember correctly, it was 20 plus million, maybe even 40 million. Might have been 40 million or something like that. All right, and now that opioid drug, clinical drug has actually hit the streets now. So now it's messing up even more people, and still white people more than others at this point. So it definitely, the scripture came to pass in this situation.
In his reanalysis of the study, psychologist Ed Peugeot and colleagues showed that, had the study protocol been followed, the cumulative remission rate would have been only 35%. Moreover, the STAR-D report omitted the stay well rate. Only 3% of the 4,041 patients who entered the trial and went into remission were still in remission at the end of their 1-year follow-up.
Hey, do you want to hear something great about this?
So that's completely opposite of this 7 and 10. All right, of what they claimed, because that's why it says it based on the science. If that was based on scientific misconduct and fraud, all right, but only 3% of 4,000 patients actually, got off the drugs or didn't have depression again. So clearly these drugs did not work. All right, but they definitely, were making a killing off this stuff. And there's connection, and in theory, that these things are connected to violence. They have the absolute opposite effect of calming someone down. Let's let them continue.
Obamacare, one of the hidden provisions in that was called the pregnant women's right to mental health or something.
Yeah.
And so they made it legal to give it to pregnant women for their depression.
Wow. Okay.
Previously, to protect the unborn baby, they wouldn't,
Wow.
Yes, most clinical drug trials have found the effectiveness of antidepressants is on par with placebo. And many studies have debunked the serotonin theory that underpins the use of antidepressants. Meanwhile, large-scale meta-analysis show that physical exercise is the most effective remedy, about 1.5 times more effective than antidepressants for depression. Get out of here.
Hey, working out does wonders for everything. Yeah. Okay. It'll not only will it help you deal with stress and being depressed, it will also make you healthy again. It'll bring your blood pressure back to normal. It could actually help with diabetes or sugar's problem. That when you add and change correct your diet, correct what you're eating, start eliminating trigger foods. You have to learn what foods trigger you. All right. And then we're also talking about people who speak down on natural remedies and old remedies that doctors use, which have been used for thousands of years, and most of them were centered around food and nutrition. And I always said, man, it's like before this video came a Umzu commercial, all right? And not to speak against Umzu, I've actually used one of their products and it was rather good. But the point is that I shouldn't have to use an Umzu product. All those things should be in your food. So we got a tainted food supply, which is controlled by who? The WEF, which who funds who's the number one person who donates and funds the WEF? Bill Gates. All right. So your government and so the WEF, being a bunch of unelected people, are making decisions over what and making you sick and deciding, they want you to eat Z-bugs. All right. And all these foods with all these pollutants in it and chemicals that actually destroy you, and you know, and hell, you got a problem. You know what else is trending all the time, every day, all day on social media? No matter when you turn on, supplements for ED, for erectile dysfunction. So clearly, it's and it's so many medicines, and of course, no man wants to admit if that's happening to them. You know, so that's that's a so why is this happening? That wasn't a problem, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. Wasn't an issue. All right, 40, 50 years ago, that wasn't an issue at all. So something that these people are doing is bringing on sickness and illness, and body functions aren't functioning correctly.
Oh, so that's why physical exercise is subtly linked to white supremacy.
Yeah. Can I just take Ozempic?
It's just one example, and here's just one example. Patients who of how the studies were flawed on purpose. Patients who didn't qualify as depressed enough to even be included in the study in the first place were counted as remitted, as were patients who dropped out, mostly due to intolerance to the drugs.
Wow.
They also switched outcome measures and introduced theoretical elements in clear violation of study protocol.
Hey, my friend Brody's
Okay, so then they just outright lie with their science. So Job 13:4, gotta get it. This is Job 13:4. It says, "But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value." All right? Remember, people, the word doctor, all right, literally means to falsify. You know how someone doctors something up? All right? You doctor up some paperwork, doctor up the outcome to different measures, doctor up the outcome to a different study. You lie. These people are physicians of no value.
From 100% from
So
that.
we've also
he was telling everybody he didn't feel right, and they go, "That's normal."
That's normal.
And then he's a suicide. Wow.
So we also know
Damn.
that there's a connection that's in their own literature between violent acts or the urge to commit violent acts at people who take antidepressants, and it's also connected to most mass shootings. And so that's why mass shootings have exploded in America since the introduction. That's a theory. Anyway, I'm not saying that's a theory. So, Dr. Drew, what do you say?
I've got a lot to say. I worked in a psychiatric hospital for 35 years. I want to remind you of a couple things. One is, are you aware that randomized controlled trials have only been around for about 75 years?
Okay.
No.
I know what they are.
People pretend as though that has been the basis of science forever. No, it's a relatively new instrument on the scene, and it is deeply flawed. It is to power it, you have to have more patients, a bigger N than 85% of the RCTs out there. So we have lots of problems. People do a lot of manipulating with numbers as a result of learning how to use this instrument to make their outcomes the way they want them. But
to make their outcomes and make them the way they want them. And then once they get the outcome that they want, they'll sign into law to make people take it. All right. Just like they did, what happened, starting about at the end of 2019, all the way into damn near the end of 2022. All right. This is Isaiah 10:1, and it reads, "Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless." So these people just, they could give a damn about you. If they can make money off of you, they will sign and write something into to a statute or a code. All right, which they often violate the law of the land by doing so, because as I often speak about, statutes and codes are not law. All right, they don't supersede the law of the land, but these people will slap together some statutes and codes real quick to get something going that they need or they feel the need to do so.
I digress. Back in the day, doctors would try things, and when they worked, You knew it clinically because the patient got better. Did they get better every time? No, of course not. But
Wow.
you developed a clinical sense of what worked and what doesn't.
And so right there, okay, he just said a mouthful. Man, is he red and his hair is white. You can't. This dude, when it says and the first came out red all over, you know, there's no doubt who the Edomites are in the Bible. All right, not Japhet. Japhet wasn't described as being red, you know, all over. Okay, but basically what he just said is that that's what science means to know. Doctors would do a study, and then their patients would get better. They knew that it worked. All right. You just can't, you know, get a whole bunch and test it on animals and this, that, and the other, and then, you know, and then just assume that that's going to do the same in people, and it hasn't. We'll just do all this research, all based upon theory and hypotheses, and then put a price on it and sell it for billions. Meanwhile, you know, people are actually dropping like flies. The word science means to know. So what he just described is real science. When a doctor applied, or a physician, all right, as we know what doctor means, when a physician would apply something to a person, and then that person would be free of the disease or the illness and get stronger and get better. All right, then they would actually, that is science. All right, that's true science. That means to know. All right, when you know an equation will give you this result, when you know that these numbers will give you that result. That's what science is. What these people do is pseudoscience, false science, and they try to use science over the Lord. All right. And it's all to get gains. Matter of fact, this is 1 Timothy 6:5. Perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds, destitute of truth, supposing that gain is godliness, from such men withdraw thyself. All right. So, you know, these people, and they do push that sort of mentality in America, that if you have a lot of money, that you have, you know, if you're making millions and billions, if you're living well, then you're clearly godly, which is all fraud. It's all lies. Let's jump down and finish this. We'll wrap this up. All right. And this is 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. You don't believe in the science, so they use all this hypotheses and theory, all right, which is not facts, and then try to use that as leverage to guilt someone into doing something that they don't want to do. All right. And the next thing you know, you got excess deaths and, you know, sudden death syndrome, and, you know, and you know, athletes from the middle school to high school to college to the pros dropping dead all over the world all of a sudden. So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash, Kwam Yasharala Shalom.